Welcome back to the Kajabi Fireside Chats. Sue McLachlan here from the Unicorn Advisory. Very excited to have Brent Totty from the Kajabi team joining me. I think, Brent, are you in charge of pretty much everything at Kajabi in terms of products?
Not quite, but close. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, at Kajabi. So I'm Brent Totty. I'm one of the principal product managers here at Kajabi, and I oversee the knowledge products team. And so essentially, what that means is that I oversee every digital product except for communities, as well as the builder and the theme system. So any of the interactions you have, building your emails, your landing pages, your websites, your product themes, like that's all kind of underneath the umbrella of things that I oversee.
And, given Kajabi's place in the creator commerce knowledge economy, that is pretty much most of the things that people are using when they are using Kajabi. So we're talking courses, coaching, products, uh, podcasts, newsletters,
Podcasts, newsletters, downloads.
a lot, a
Yeah,
lot.
there's quite a
Um,
bit.
Yeah, well, you've got a big role, so I'm excited to have you join us here today, and we are going to dive into something which I think is one of those things that was released, but it's a little bit underrated and maybe even underused. So we're going to go through some cool use cases of how you can use the Kajabi paywall product, like the paywall feature, on your courses.
Mhm.
So. Do you want to talk us through for someone who's like maybe they've heard of it, but they're not quite sure what it allows you to do? What is paywall and how can we use it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched Course Paywall a few months ago. And essentially, the heart behind the feature is to allow you as a hero to be able to offer a portion of your course either for free or for a discounted rate. Essentially, building trust with your members or those folks that may follow you on social or maybe on your email list. It's giving them an opportunity to understand what is it that you teach? What's your teaching style? I think that that's something that is kind of underrated. People want to feel out how they're going to be able to learn from you. And so Course Paywall gives them a lot, it gives you the ability to give them a little sneak peek into the course that you've already worked so hard on. And so you can kind of imagine Course Paywall as a line in your course outline, and we'll walk through the overall UI. But inside your course outline, you have your segmentation of your modules and your sub modules and your lessons. You're essentially able to place a paywall line in between any module that you want on the course. And it allows for folks that have not purchased your entire course, but may have purchased access to this limited access version to be able to engage with all of your content that is above that paywall. And then it
Mhm.
gives them an inline, in context way to be able to purchase your course so that they don't have to go to a different landing page. They don't have to go into some other email sequence. It's all in context. So the really the heart behind this is one, familiarizing your members with your content and your teaching style, while also giving them a streamlined way to be able to purchase directly from you.
Yeah, and easy upgrades are the way that we need to go. Like we need to make it easy for people to purchase. And if they're getting this taste and they're like, okay, great, you don't want to have to send them through a whole nother funnel and then make them go and have emails and click and you're like, all right, do it right here. Like buy,
Totally.
instant, done. Yeah.
Less clicks and timing is everything. And today
Yeah.
we'll walk you through kind of some of the different levels of customization that you can add into your course paywall as well. Because again, you can imagine that the purchasing experience is incredibly personal. And so as someone
Mm.
is engaging with some of your content that's above the paywall, they're starting to get to know you. And then as they
Yes.
transact and buy the full access to your course, it's not just a standard modal. You're able to add video content or imagery that essentially allows you to be able to potentially thank them for engaging in the early part of your course and kind of laying some more foundational groundwork of like, what's the why behind this? Ultimately, like, what are you going to get once you do kind of put your trust in me, purchase the rest of this course, and what are you going to get out of it?
Yeah, and one of the things that I am finding is even more important now as AI is kind of taking over everything, and also for digital products, is when people are purchasing, they don't have anything tangible. Like we are saying, hey, come and purchase this really cool idea of a thing on a sales
Mhm.
page. So when you are giving someone access to the actual tangible thing that they're buying and giving them that taste test of it, the trust building just cannot be underemphasized. It's really, really helpful. So I love this.
Yeah, absolutely. The more that you
Yeah.
show up in the early stages of when someone is engaging with your content, the more likely it is that they're going to purchase from you. And that is going to be
Yeah.
more and more true over time. And so that's why we have so much conviction around this particular feature, is because it is a great foot in the door. Whether
Yeah.
someone is engaging with you for the first time, or if it's an entirely net new course and they're purchasing from you a second time, what is this new thing about? Is this format similar to the format that I'm used to? And again, it's all about building trust and continuity with the learning experience.
And if someone is using their course product as a membership for like to house the sort of educational part of their membership, then it's a great opportunity to use that as a way to sort of segregate some of the content. So whether that's for annual members and monthly, like annual members getting a bonus, or if you've got tiers of your membership, that is something that I have had so many people come to you for help with. And in the past, we've had to do a bit of a workaround where it's like two separate products,
Yep.
where the VIP products in a separate, or you've got to duplicate everything, and it's been a total pain. So as someone who helps people with Kajabi, I love that now you can have the tiers within that same single product, and it's there for people to see. So they're like, "Oh, what is this?" And they get curious to want to upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of hit on two things there that I think are really important. The first being the actual workflow, both on your side as the hero and then also as a member. If in the
Mm,
like the way that we had to historically support it, two different products, two different product entitlements would taken up two slots. You also have
yep.
to maintain content across two different products to make sure that they're
Hmm.
staying in line, which is also a
Yep.
pain. And then you
Yep.
also lose any of the actual like member data, specifically around like course progress. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
layers of continuity, both on the hero side on for admin and just management of members, but then also on the actual member purchasing side, you're not having to go and jump into an entirely new product. Everything kind of stays continuous and you're just picking up where you left off. So it's as simple as being able to come across something, a piece of content that's locked. You understand the value prop. Maybe you see a video of the hero that you purchased from, kind of explaining the why behind the rest of the content. And then beyond
Yep.
that, single click, pop up checkout, add in your card information, and then you're off to the races, continuing down your learning journey.
Nice, nice, love it. Well, let's have a look. Like, if you can do a little show and tell, and we can have a look around the course product, that would be great. But if you
Absolutely.
are joining us live, let me know if you are already using the Course Paywall product, and what you're using it for and how you're finding it. Or as we go along, if you have got questions for Brent, please do pop them into the chat. He's here to answer questions. I mean, I'm this question girl. I got a lot, but I want it to be from your questions. So let's jump into the little show and tell, and we'll go through dad habits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of dad habits, before we get into it, little congratulations to Brent, who very shortly, in a few weeks, is going to be going on paternity leave. New baby, maybe boy.
Yep. Another
When
little
is
baby boy on the way.
Yeah, very excited for you, Brent. So thank you for taking the time when you've only got days or maybe weeks left before you're taking a little break to spend time with your wife and your new beautiful baby.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I mean, when I ultimately when we're building these features, we want to make sure that we're providing as much context as humanly possible. Every hero business is slightly different, and so it kind of requires going into a level of depth to understand the ins and the outs of how these products work, so that heroes can wrap their heads around ultimately how do I apply this to my business? How do my funnels work? What's my product strategy? And so being able to understand the core functionality of a particular feature is incredibly important. So I'm always happy to do these.
Awesome. Awesome. So, where should we start? Should we start with, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that you don't need to create a brand new course. You can do this to your existing courses. This is something that you can really quickly and easily add. So, should we look at dad habits? Has this got on
Yep,
this course already? Have we got a
sure does.
paywall, or do you want to go through how we set that up?
Yeah, so I'll show you. Essentially, this course does have a paywall already set up. So if you're starting with a pre-existing course, being
Hmm.
able to configure this is as easy as going into settings. I'll kind of walk you through that. If you're starting net new and you're creating a brand new course inside of Product Creation Wizard, there's a little toggle on the last step that essentially allows you to turn paywall on out the gate. So it really just depends
Okay.
on where you're starting from. PCW, when you
Okay.
go to Product Creation Wizard, you can toggle it on or off. It's not a one-way door. So if you turn it on, you decide you don't want it, you can just turn it off in settings. If you go
Yep.
through PCW and you don't turn it on, you can always go back into settings later on and turn it on. So what
Okay.
I'll do is I will navigate into settings and we will go down into paywall. So there's this new section in your course settings that says add paywall to this course. So there's a few nuances here that are worth kind of diving into. The first
Mhm.
being that what paywall leverages is something called a limited access product. I want to be very clear that like even though we use the term product, it does not count towards your product entitlements. This is a mechanism so that we can use the existing offer system so that you can use all of the automations and all the things you're essentially used to leveraging. We wanted to make sure that we built it so that it was compatible with all of that functionality of our offer system that I know our heroes love. So what happens is when you turn this on, you'll see a limited access product created. Once you click save, that limited access product is created on the back end. Now, again, doesn't count towards your product entitlements. What that does do is that when you're in your offers tab and you're adding products, you'll all of a sudden see this limited access product available. So if you did want to add this to a pre-existing offer, you have the capability in order to be able to do so. The other thing to call out here too is that we have something called the paywall offer. And so whatever offer that you're selecting here, the drop down has some logic in it that only shows offers where the paywall, where the limited access product is attached to that offer so that you don't kind
Okay.
of get into a weird state where someone is trying to purchase something that the actual access product is not available. So we have this here. I've got a few different tests. But essentially what this controls is inside the member experience. Once you click on that lock icon, any content that's locked, it's going to open up a modal. The modal is going to show a bit of content. When you click purchase, it's going to open up pop-up checkout. Pop-up checkout is going to be leveraging all of the settings for the connected offer that's designated here.
Okay, so
So
just to be clear, can I just stop you? Just
yeah,
so the paywall offer is the full offer, or the paywall offer that you choose here is the limited access?
this is the full offer. So this is what you
The
want them
full
to
offer.
purchase into. Yeah,
Yes. Okay. So, and when you first go, if you're adding this to a new course, it's going to prompt you to create an additional offer for the limited access part of it. So the limited
correct.
access is giving the portion. This paywall offer is the full version.
Correct. Yep. And what you'll see
Can we
too,
have more than one, or just one in that paywall offer?
right now, it's just one. But
Okay.
there are some plans in the future to be able to expand that out a little bit to be able to enable you to have various different types of payment options. So that's
Okay.
forthcoming as that
Okay.
continues to roll out. Then we'll have some optionality there to be able to enable that across the various features. And like another example of this is like inside of newsletters. Like newsletters has the ability for paid newsletters. Right now, it's limited to one offer, so you can kind of imagine
Mhm.
that it'll permeate kind of across the app.
Perfect. Okay. Great.
So now we've set up this limited access product. We have our paywall
Mhm.
offer set up. I'm going to go over into offers, and you'll see that there is a designation between limited access offers and regular offers. So that this way you can see all the various offers that are going to be attached to this product, but you can delineate which ones they're attached to. So that's just like another area. And again, if you click into any of these, you'll be able to go directly into the offer tab and you'll be able to see and configure all the settings that you're used to.
And when you go into those offers as well, something that, because this is, like Brent said earlier, a complete normal offer, you can do things like give timed access. So you could just make it so that that limited access offer um, is for like 7 days. So if you only wanted to give access for a short amount of time, is that correct? That you can set it so that, yep,
Yeah, and
so
I
it
also
doesn't
saw
have
a
to
question
be
come in from
forever.
Kate. I saw a question come in from Kate too that I want to make sure that I address, which I think she's referring to payment per module. So
Hmm.
right now, paywalls only you can only have one paywall per course, and so I'll go in and kind of show what that looks like inside the outline. So you have an
Great.
offer associated with the paywall. This paywall can be situated between any module. So you can imagine that
Hmm.
there is a limited access version of your course, and then there's the full access version. Um, and you can drag this paywall kind of wherever you want. And so you have the optionality to be able to move it. And it really, like, I always kind of like to describe this as what's the amount of value that you're willing to part with for
Mm.
free or for a discounted rate that is going to give the member enough context around what the value is of the course for them to be able to purchase the rest. So this is all very specific to your business and ultimately the structure of your course. Generally, what we see is the first one or two modules are free or discounted, and then everything else below that is below the paywall.
Okay. And so people will see everything that's below the paywall, won't
Yep.
they? They just won't be able to click into it. So
So let
should
me
we
show you.
have a look at what it looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another very important feature that we added here too is when you have paywall configured on your course and you click this
Hmm.
preview icon, it gives you the optionality to be able to view from the two different member roles. And
Yeah.
so when you click the limited access view, you'll see that as we scroll down, that I've got my locked content here. And if I try to click on any of those, it's going to open up the paywall module. And so I've customized this
Hmm.
paywall module to include a video up top. This would normally be a place where you might record something just like thanking the member from engaging in your course and just kind of
Yep.
talking a little bit more about the promise. And then you can always add the value props below. And then when you click purchase, this then is going to open up the pop-up checkout that's configured for the offer.
Brilliant. And it's easy then for them to be able to purchase.
Very, very simple. It's very much the intention behind this was all about in context purchasing. How do you get someone in the moment when they have consumed the content that's valuable? They see inside of your course, they can see the content that's there. So they can see kind of like what else they're going to be getting into, the titles and the descriptions, but you can't quite get into the actual content. And we do quite a bit of work on the back end to make sure that
Yeah.
your content is secure behind the paywall. So even if like you're not able to see as you click in, you can't close that paywall. Even if you try to inspect the page, like if you have someone that's crafty, all of that data is obfuscated. So you actually can't get to it. We're very, very intentional about the way that we set up the security on this particular feature because we know how valuable your content is.
So if someone clicks on it, if you can just click on one of them again, it kind of blurs the background.
Mm-hmm.
So someone can see there's a lesson there, but they can't see what
Exactly.
it is. Yeah. And if you don't even want anyone to see any of that, Penny had from Penny in Your Pocket had a great tip on one of her tutorials saying that you could lock the content so that people can't even click into it, lock the first lesson under the paywall, and then that will kind of prevent people getting access. But for the most part, you kind of almost want to, I think, give them that little tease, like seeing that there's something there. It's that thing that spikes curiosity, making people go, oh, like I want that. I want that thing that I can't see. Like I think it psychologically makes people realize this is a tangible thing, and you can have it if you click purchase.
Absolutely. And it doubles down on the value and how intentional you need to be about your
Yeah,
modules and your lesson titles and descriptions, especially when you're
yeah,
using Course Paywall, because you want
yeah,
that to be almost like marketing messaging. You want that to be very clear,
yeah,
like it's an opportunity for a hook. And so the
yeah.
more that you're sharing there that indicates the value that's behind the paywall, the better off that you're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like a book. Like your modules are like chapters. You want people to want to go to the next bit. So
Yeah, and I mean, if you've ever purchased or if you ever gotten like the free version of anything on like Amazon Kindle, it's a similar concept.
yes,
Where you get to
yep,
download the first chapter or two, you're able to go through all of that, and then they do all of the purchasing directly inside your Kindle. And it's like you can see
yep.
what's there, what's listed. That all seems valuable. I want to go and access the rest of this and make it really seamless to do. And I think that as Kajabi continues to double down on being a creator commerce platform, it's really important to make sure that those transactions feel seamless.
Yeah. Jeff had a good question. When you're doing a little taste test as a free versus paid, is there any friction or any way to reduce friction when someone's essentially upgrading as opposed from free to paid?
Yeah. So the way that I understand how this would work is as long as that member is still logged in, is that we would have their purchasing information. It should be auto-filled. So that's like generally how the offer system works. So if that member is signed in, they will have their credit card or information available. I can double check on that too to make sure that that's the case, but I just want to make sure that like
Mhm.
it's clear that that should be how it's working.
I'm wondering if, just knowing Jeff, I'm wondering if he's referring from that process of, because I think we've talked about this before, essentially upgrading from monthly to annual or like from regular to VIP. Because at the moment, like if someone's in one paid offer and then they purchase another one, they're kind of still in the original one. And yeah, like just wondering how that process works on the back end. Is it a case of making sure you've got the automations in place on that, higher tier to discontinue access to the other, or like have you got any recommendations on the best sort of process for that for people?
In terms of making sure that people don't have access to both products.
Yeah, or like just to reduce any friction because someone's already in your paid offer, essentially, if they've got a paid version, and how, upgrading is the most seamless way.
Yeah. I can speak to the way that we handle it inside the member library, which is one of the things that
Hmm.
we really wanted to focus on so that you didn't double down and have two different
Right.
tiles inside your
Yeah.
member library. So we have some logic in place to make sure that on upgrade, we're only showing the prime. So it's like if they have purchased the full version, we're only showing the full version. If they've only
Correct.
purchased limited access version, we're only showing that.
Mhm.
So in terms of making sure that your backend staying cleaned up, I can take a look at that and see, generally like what some best practices could look like there. Maybe we can follow up with some additional content, maybe in the description when we end up posting this somewhere.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So, is there anything? Oh, one thing that would be really good if we can have a look at the actual customization of that modal that
Yeah,
pops up.
absolutely. So let's go ahead and hop into the customization. And so I'm going to go into Premiere.
So this is where you can change what the actual the pop-up that comes up looks like
Yep,
from the default.
exactly. So
So you do have to go into your post in the top. So sometimes people get a little bit confused. So in your course, when you go to customize, just make sure that you don't do this in the product tab, like in the drop down at the top, go into post.
yep. Yeah. Hop on into post. You'll click into paywall. And you'll want to make sure that you're updated to the latest version of either Premiere or Momentum. Also, as just kind of like a little call out, we're working with third-party theme providers as well to make sure that they have all the updated code. So that for those of you that are using third-party themes, you'll be able to go and customize this modal. Now, right now, Course
Okay.
Paywall still does work inside of third-party themes. You just don't have the level of customization that you would have on a Premiere or Momentum.
Okay, great.
So when you are editing this, again, like we have some heavy warning copy here because we want to make sure that people are untoggling this. But in order to be able to customize this, you're going to toggle this on, and then you'll have the optionality to be able to edit any of the copy that's here. And then you have the ability, of course, again, to be able to add any additional blocks that you might want to include as well. We have a very finite list here of like, these are the intentional blocks that someone would want to use in order for upsell. We didn't want to throw every block at you. Specifically because this is a purpose built modal in order to drive a conversion. And so you can see here that you got call to action, image, text, video. Now, again, you also have the option to be able to turn off the default purchase button if you want the call to action to route out to a different page for some reason. So if you didn't
Okay.
want to use pop-up checkout and you did want to send someone to a different landing page, of course, you still have the option to be able to do so. But by default, it includes the pop-up checkout as part of this feature.
So that would be when you add an extra call to action button if you wanted it to send someone to a sales page
Yeah.
or something
And
along
then
those lines.
you would turn off this purchase CTA. So you turn off the purchase CTA if you want to route them somewhere else, then you add your own custom CTA.
Cool. And just a little thing that I found, if you turn the course paywall off, just remember to come in here and turn the modal off as well, because I had one where I was playing around and I forgot to turn the modal off and then
Yeah.
it was still
Yeah.
popping up.
You always want to make sure as you're making any sort of edits, you want to make sure that you're toggling this back off so that it
Yep.
doesn't perpetuate throughout the member experience.
Yep. Brilliant. Okay, so Kate, just to your question about the Gamify Light and the Sunset themes, those are the ones that are included in Kajabi. That's what, Brent, you're referring to when you
Yep.
say third-party themes,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? So
Correct.
when will that be? Like in the next few weeks?
Yeah,
Will
it'll be the next few weeks. It'll be sooner rather than later. So we have the theme files from our third party providers. We're just getting them updated now.
Brilliant. Awesome. So it may just be a case of going and doing an update once they are ready,
Correct.
like updating. Awesome. All right. So if someone is using this for like a membership product, or they're using it to get someone to upgrade in an existing product, like in terms of where you put the paywall, like what I've seen people doing when it's like a membership is, before you're sort of saying, put it for the first couple of modules, which is great for a course. But if it's a membership, you might want to have sort of it lower down. So maybe the members will get 3/4, and then underneath you have hidden like annual bonuses or VIP information. So there is no restriction of where you can put that paywall. You could
That's
even have it so it's just one module underneath, but you can't put it in the middle of a module. So it has to be module based. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
You
So
can't
the
have it
course
in the middle
paywall
of
needs to be
lessons.
placed within the individual modules. You can't put it into a sub module.
Okay, so it has to be at the top level of modules. So you
Correct.
can have like one sub module at the bottom that was like bonuses that had sub modules in it, but you just
Hmm.
need to make sure the paywall is just above that.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, cool. Um, what is there any other cool use cases that you have seen for paywall? So we've covered like giving a little taste test to the first module or second
Mm.
module. It can be free or it can be paid. So there's no restriction to that. So do you want to maybe we could have a look at the offers just to see how
Sure.
it's set up in offers. But are there any other kind of cool things apart from doing that sort of annual, like the upgraded version of the membership that you've seen people
Yeah.
using? Like what are people using it at for mostly at the moment?
Yeah, so the primary use case is kind of the entry point preview. That's like you get,
Hmm.
the first taste of the module or two, and then you purchase the rest of the course. That's probably the primary that we're seeing. We are
Hmm.
seeing a handful of folks that are kind of the use case you alluded to, which is like putting the paywall lower down. And that's for like the advanced tier members. And so you can almost think of that as like the tiered model. And then the other
Hmm.
kind of interesting version of this too is like if you want to include it's like maybe they're buying a one-off course from you, but you want them to join your annual membership. That can be comprehensive. So of the full course content that's in here, along with a handful of other products as well. So maybe it's part of your like exclusive access group inside your community. Maybe it's access
Mm.
to a paid newsletter as well. So there's ways to be able to configure this based upon how the offer system is structured to align with the
Hmm.
various combinations of products that you have. And ultimately, like when you think about a membership, it's oftentimes a mix of multiple products together. And it's usually
Yeah.
like a community plus a course or a newsletter plus a course or coaching plus a course. And so you can kind of think of it as like being able to nest your multi-product offer underneath that course paywall as like something, it's another entry point for your folks to be able to
Hmm.
ascend as you're trying to pull more lifetime value out of a particular member. So they might have purchased once. How do you get them to purchase again? And you kind of think about
Hmm.
that flow of it's harder to get someone to purchase from you one time. It's a lot easier to get them to purchase from you a second time. And so if you think about nesting your more premium offers underneath, that might be a multi-product offer. This gives you an opportunity to be able to leverage this tool in order to be able to facilitate those purchases.
Okay, nice. Nice. So when someone has the limited access, so let's have a look at the offers
Yep.
because these are just like any other offer. Like there's nothing special except that you're connecting that special limited access product to it. So it's kind of like when
Correct.
you go to but
Yeah. And so
everything else is the same.
everything else is the same. And essentially the way that you should think about this is that the offer that's created that is attached to your limited access product, you are likely going to want to have on either a separate landing page or you're going to want to have it as like another CTA that might open pop-up checkout somewhere else. And so
Hmm.
you want to make sure that you have the entry point set up for this. What's the value prop? Like, how are you priming someone to it's essentially like if you're using it as like your limited access product is free, then it's essentially a freebie. So how do you set up your freebie
Hmm.
funnel associated with that? If you're using it as a discounted version, then again, you're just kind of framing the value prop inside the entry point landing page to facilitate the initial purchase of the limited access product, which is what is going to be controlled by this offer. Then they're inside of your product membership. They're able to access your member library. The other kind of like element to this too is that inside your member library, you have the optionality to be able to surface other offers as well. So I always think of
Hmm.
like if you're giving someone a limited access product for free, yes, they're consuming their course, but they're also getting access into all the other things you have to offer. They might not have seen your entire website. They might have only seen this one landing page because they saw a social post about it and they don't really know who you are. And so getting a wide array of the various things that you offer, there's a lot of
Hmm.
opportunity to be able to do that. And like specifically my member library is set up with a lot of various coaching calls. And so in the context of my like semi faux business, I run it not very seriously, but I still create some content.
Your little
I
side hustle.
Yeah, it's a side hustle. I have, my very basic content above the paywall. And then inside my member library, I have a bunch of the new coaching scheduler widgets enabled and embedded in there so that people can see my availability. They can purchase directly from there and book. And so again,
Yeah.
it's providing more visibility into the things that you offer by getting them into your ecosystem. The second that they're inside your ecosystem, not just
Yeah.
as a contact, but as a member, you have more control over the things that they see.
Yeah. So with like offers as well, you can do things like trigger automations, the same as any other offer. So it could be an automation to add them into a sequence
Mhm.
to then, encourage upsells that way as
Yep.
well. So as well as seeing it inside the course itself, like think about it as, you're still using everything that you would have done had you given it away as a freebie to get people to upgrade. It's just that they're seeing it from multiple different perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the beauty of Kajabi, of like ultimate flexibility. And then it just
Yeah.
comes down to what's the blueprint in terms of
Yeah.
combination of all of the glue that's in between all of your products. What's the way in which you're nurturing folks from, traffic on your site to a contact, to a member, to a multi-purchase member. And that's kind of the gold
Yeah.
standard of getting someone all the way through that progression so that you can ensure that one, they're getting value from all the different things that you provide while also being able to grow your business alongside their learning experience.
Yeah, and if you have, say, this free offer, like this limited access one here, you could also, like, you've got options now, which I love. So you can have call to action buttons throughout your site. You could have pop ups. You could have hello bars along the top of your page that could either pop up checkout, or it could even be on a form, and you could have an automation on the form to grant access to the offer.
Mhm.
So you can either have it so they just fill out a form, or with a pop-up checkout that just pops up and then they get put straight into this limited access offer. So lots of ways to get people in the first place.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else that we should know? I just got a question from Kate as well, around the offers and the product and how it works. Because right here we can see the product in this offer, because I'm assuming this is the one that was automatically created. If
Correct.
someone wanted to create something else, like how do they add the limited access offer, or is there anything else we should know about the offer side of giving people access?
Yeah. So when you turn on Course Paywall, the limited access product is created for you. So you turn it on, you toggle it on, you save it in settings, and then anytime. So let's go ahead and just remove this.
Kate, I'm going to come back to your question.
And you can see now that my Dad Habits limited access product is available in the dropdown. So for any offer that you already have, if you want to add this in as like, a bonus perk, you can now do that.
Hmm.
So again,
Awesome.
this is leaning into the flexibility of our offer system. We wanted to make sure that there weren't any asterisks with how the offers and some of the transactions were being facilitated through Course Paywall, because we know that there's a lot of nuance in hero businesses and how they're leveraging the offer system. It's one of those things that is highly flexible, super powerful, and we want to make sure that everything that we're building plugs into the various tools that are already available in offers, so that there wasn't something where it's like, oh, well, it doesn't do this one thing inside of offers, so like I can't use it.
Yeah. Kate did have a question, but I think this may not totally work. By taking people through a free checkout rather than opt-in form, there's the opportunity for people to instantly upgrade via an upsell. Now that won't come up, will it? If it's a free checkout, you'd still have to do it via a thank you page,
Yeah,
like a tripwire on the thank
I
you
believe
page.
that's the case.
Yeah, but that's where you can use that upsell, like within your libraries, because you can add those offer blocks that you only show if someone doesn't already own it, and then upsell people through the actual course product itself, which is the beauty of the paywall. It's kind of like a built-in, constant, always-on upsell.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about our member library. There's a lot of things that we, are going to continuously upgrade in that particular page, but specifically the logic condition that you can place on an offer that's listed inside of your member library. If someone doesn't have access to it, you surface it. If they do have access to it, it doesn't get surfaced. And so again, it kind of
Mhm.
leans into this more personalized purchasing experience that I think is going to be a core competency of things that Kajabi are going to be focusing on moving forward.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Is there anything else that we should know about offers or um, the paywall that you haven't showed us yet?
I
'Cause I've got
think
a
we
couple other
touched on the
questions.
primary things. I think a lot of it is just, we talked about some of the primary use cases that we've been seeing. We talked about security. We talked about customization inside the themes. Talked about product entitlements and this not taking up 2 slots. And then we
Yep.
also talked about some of the limitations of like, you can only set up one course paywall per product.
Okay. And also the app. Should we talk about the app?
Sure.
With how Course Paywall shows up on the app.
Yep. So we are currently work in progress to make sure that the Course Paywall feature that you know inside of the web experience is in parity with mobile. So I talked with the team earlier this week, and they're work in progress on that. So you can expect in the coming weeks for you to be able to leverage Course Paywall the same way they're using inside of web, inside of mobile. So that's definitely
Excellent.
something that is on their radar to be able to upgrade. And I know that they're charging towards it because we see a lot of engagement with this feature, and we want to make sure that the mobile experience is in line with the web experience.
Excellent, excellent. We're going to pop a link in the chat to some of the help articles because there is a heap on the Kajabi Help Center. So if you want help with specifically implementing parts of this, it's pretty robust. I went and had a look, and I was like, damn, there is a lot of different parts. So if you need a show and tell through that, then definitely go and check out the Help Center. I think, is there any other questions? Stacey has asked a question about newsletters, but unfortunately, Brent is not going to have time to cover newsletters today. So we're going to cover that on a future session when you get back from paternity leave. I am locking you down, Brent, for another session on newsletters and maybe some of the other things. But can I ask, can you spill any tea for us? Is there anything cool that's coming up, given that you are kind of in charge of most of Kajabi, let's say? Can you give us any gossip? Can you give us any cool things that are coming that we should know about? Because we love the tea.
Of course. Yeah, I'll keep it pretty high level, but I will say that there are a lot of core improvements that we've been focusing on, and so a lot of those will be forthcoming over the next few weeks. A lot of things that we're really excited about, kind of across the product suite, and it's not just knowledge products. It's commerce. It's there's a lot of work on the distribution side as well. And so I've got a lot of visibility into some of the things that the other teams are working on. And I'll say that there's a lot of really, really impressive stuff. I can't get into too much detail, but stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of really impactful stuff coming down the pike.
Okay. Are we talking weeks, months, next year? When do you reckon we're going to see some stuff?
We'll call it like weeks, not quite months, but like we're talking weeks.
Ooh. Okay. All right. I love it. I can't wait. And a little cheeky comment from Kate here. We won't tell Ahad that, you're pretty much in charge. Well, how about we leave Ahad in charge while you go on paternity leave?
I'm sure he would love that.
Thank you so much for your time today, Brent. If anyone does have any follow-up questions after this, if you are watching the replay, please do pop your questions into the community. Brent is more than happy to answer questions about Paywall, and I will pass them on. And also check in with those help articles. I may be able to help you as well, or any of the other legend Kajabi experts that are in the community who have been using Paywall. And if you have any cool ways, like if you're like, hey, this has inspired me and I've thought of a cool way to use it that we didn't mention today, please share, because that's one of the ways heroes lift up other heroes. So if we share the cool ways that we're implementing these features, it just makes us all better. So please do share if you come up with a cool way to use Paywall. And of course I will continue to share as well. And yes, we have another fantastic Fireside Chat session coming up next week. We are talking all about, I mean, this probably sounds a little bit nerdy, but it's really cool, like the back end pricing and analytics behind what the most successful Kajabi heroes are doing, like what product combinations that they're using, pricing structures from across the entire Kajabi ecosystem. So it's really interesting to get benchmarks and things. So Jerome is coming in, and that is going to be a very fun session, especially if you love nerding out and you're like, oh, what are the most successful heroes doing? And it's coming straight from the data. So that's always interesting as well. So that will be our Fireside Chat next week. I hope you will join me. And Brent, thank you so much. Have a fantastic time with your family, welcoming your beautiful new baby. And we look forward to seeing pictures maybe, or hearing the news. And yeah, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me.